Welcome to Coastal Conversations, Episode 5. Today, my guest is Caleb Davidson. Caleb is a 17-year-old junior at Daphne High School. He is also the manager of the Daphne High School varsity basketball team. He is a leader in our Coastal Kids department here on the Daphne campus. He serves as the service coordinator for Coastal Kids on Sunday morning. He also is a part of our student leadership on Sunday evenings. He oversees the setup and teardown of our student ministry and our student auditorium. He does a lot around here at Coastal Church. Today, Caleb and I are going to have a conversation around what his life, particularly a Christ-centered, Christ-honoring life, looks like from the perspective of a teenage young man today. I would like for many of us that are listening today to take these next few minutes and listen carefully to Caleb's heart. Listen to what teenage boys are seeing. Listen to what teenage boys are hearing and how they're being influenced by how Caleb lives differently and avoiding these pitfalls some of his friends are making. If you're a parent of a teenage boy or a teen girl, I want you to tune your ears, perk your ears up, and let's listen and be learners today. So, welcome to the Coastal Conversations podcast, Caleb Davidson.
Thank you for having me.
We are super excited. Thanks for doing this. I know it's a little different.
Yes, ma'am.
Could be a little nerve-wracking, but I know you can handle it.
Yes, ma'am.
You can do this. So let's jump right in. Tell us a little bit about your life, Caleb. Tell us about your family, how you grew up, what grade you're in. Just tell us about Caleb.
So I'm 17 years old, and I used to play basketball all my life, but then I wanted to take a step back and become the manager. I played varsity last year, but usually I just be hanging out, just having fun with people. Me and my mom live in Robertsdale. Sorry, I was a little nervous, but me and my mom live in Robertsdale, and she has a husband named Ray, and my dad lives in Pensacola, and she lives with a lady named Tanisha, and we all bond together in a way, you could say.
You have some brothers.
We have brothers. Yes, ma'am. I have brothers. One of my brothers is actually going in the Army.
That's awesome.
At Alabama. He's in ROTC.
And your mom just retired.
Yes, ma'am. She just retired, I think, last Wednesday or Thursday.
From the military, right?
Yes,
what branch was she in?
She was in the Navy for 20 years.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes, ma'am.
She's a strong lady.
Yes, ma'am. She's very
strong. She's so strong. Fun fact, you're a twin.
Yes, ma'am. I am a twin. We always argue, but we love each other really
Is it
much.
true about twins that y'all are kind of like, you can know what each other's thinking and feeling?
No, we're completely the opposite. It's funny because like I'm left-handed, he's right-handed.
Oh.
For a while when he has braces now, but for a while this tooth right here and was like that on the other side of him. And then like I'm like energetic and how he's trying to have fun. He's usually low down, and we kind of swap now. I'm like really low down, and he's like energetic, I guess you could say. But usually we just have fun with each other.
So that's not always true, that twins don't
always
mesh. So you're a little bit different. So you're a junior.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you enjoy doing in your free time, Caleb?
Playing basketball. I love playing basketball. I always had like a love for it. I would say, and I also just love just finding ways to help out with something. I'm always like, I can't ever just stay at the house. I always have to like go do something, like just like work wise, I guess you could say, like always trying to find work to just help out with something. Yeah. Usually at church. I love just being here, being around the Coastal staff and hanging out with y'all.
Yeah, you do. You do a lot of work that nobody sees around here, and
yes,
you're always up here doing something, and we appreciate that. What are your favorite classes in school? What do you like in school? You were just telling me before you're in a hospitality and tourism. That's intense, right?
Very. We do a lot of work.
When you signed up for that, you were thinking easy A.
Yes, ma'am. And then you give a lot of work, but I mean, I still got the A in the class.
That's good. That's good.
We still do a lot of work.
What's your favorite subject?
Math. I love math. I'm always down to figure out a math problem, except for Algebra 2. Algebra 2 is a little harder, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I love the teachers. All the math teachers are always my favorite teachers. And then I would also say I love English. English is also one of my favorite things.
Okay.
I love going the same way as I love all the teachers in English. Like we always have like a cool, like we're always cool with each other. We're never like, there's never like a anger or like always like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
So the teachers at Daphne High School, we hear great things about them.
they're amazing.
I think you have great teachers there. I think you guys are very blessed.
Yes, ma'am.
At that school to have good teachers. When did you begin your relationship with Jesus, Caleb?
So I began my relationship with Jesus around 7th grade. I went to church camp. I was on fire for Jesus. I love just like having the thought that someone came and actually died for us and just like loved us so much. And then I would say that around my 9th grade year, I did lose that connection to Jesus. And then my summer of my 10th grade year, I just full on went straight for Jesus. Like I feel like right now I'm just getting better and better and better with my relationship with Jesus and striving really hard with that.
That's good.
I mean, I remember the night that I like gave my life back to Jesus. I was at Students and I was like, I can't live the way I was. So now let me go forward. And I dropped everything that I used to do and I went straight for Jesus.
That's so good,
Yes,
Caleb.
ma'am.
That's awesome. What are some of the biggest challenges you see your friends facing today?
That they have time. I feel like one of the biggest things is they have all the time in the world to do whatever they want. I mean, I feel like they think that they can ask God in their life whenever. Like, well, like you can whenever, but I'm talking about like you never know.
They think they have time, unlimited to do it.
Yes, have unlimited time to do it, but you never know when your last day is, and you never know when you ever like that Jesus is coming back. Pretty much, you could say, because at the end of the day, is like Jesus is real, and Jesus is going to come back, and no matter what, like if you don't ask God in your heart, you could go to hell for that.
Yeah.
And I say another thing is obedience. I feel like one of the biggest things is a lot of kids nowadays is not obeying their parents, not obeying their teachers. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that we need to do as kids is obey their parents and obey their teachers, because all they're trying to do is trying to have the best for us and not the worst. And we think that we can do everything ourselves. And at the end of the day, we're not as smart or wise as y'all adults. I mean, I feel like that's one of the biggest things.
Some adults, maybe.
Mostly, yeah.
I think that's really wise, Caleb, what you just said. Two things you said. Time, you think, and as young people, they do think they have unlimited. I almost said we. I'm not we. 48. We are not a young people. They do think, because I remember you think as a young person, you have unlimited time to make this decision. I'm going to live it up now. I'm going to have all the fun I can have now. Yes. Then when I get married, have kids, I'm going to settle down. I'm going to be serious about my relationship with God. I'm going to be serious about the things of God. And what you're saying is you see that as a huge problem because we're not promised tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
That's super wise. That's very mature. And then the next thing you said is obedience.
Yes, ma'am.
Falling under authority.
Yes, ma'am. I think, like you say authority, I've heard authority so much in the last 2 weeks, just from like, not even like at church, just like everywhere. And I feel like God is really trying to teach me into having authority with what I say and do.
Wow.
I feel like that's one of the biggest things as well.
So good. I love this. That's wise. All right. This may be similar to the last question, but what are some pitfalls that you see your friends fall into? And then what guardrails have you put up in your life to avoid those pitfalls that you see?
I'd say one of them is trying to fit in the crowd. I feel like all the kids, kids just trying to fit with the crowd, but usually the crowd's always not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And they fall into a desire of just sinful things. And I'll say another thing is, I would say lust. I feel like lust is really, really big. I dealt with it. I feel like mostly every teenager would usually deal with it. And there's only one way to not deal with it is fall after Jesus and having that relationship with Jesus and going after him.
Yeah. So what are some guardrails you've put in your life to kind of avoid maybe going along with the crowd or falling into the trap of lust and things like that? What are some guardrails you've set up?
I would say that some of the guardrails I've set up is making sure that I have like screen time on my phone. I put screen time on my phone to make sure that I'm not falling into anything that stumble upon any website or anything like that. And then making sure that my eyes are where God's eyes would want to be. You know what I mean? And making sure that I'm always living for Christ. Every morning I pray for God's protection to make sure that my eyes are pure, making sure my ears are pure, making sure my mouth is pure with everything I do. So, yeah.
That's really good. So you got to set those things up on, many times parents can set those up for them on their phone, right?
Yes,
those guardrails. But I've learned that sometimes teenagers know how to get around some of
Yes,
those
ma'am.
things, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it kind of has to be a personal choice that they make or
Yes,
that you make on your own, that, no, I want my relationship to God to be most important. I don't want to fall into these traps. So I'm going to set these guardrails in my life so that I don't fall into sin. The Bible talks about temptation, that it's not that we're not going to be tempted.
Yes, ma'am.
It's that when we're tempted, he says he gives us a way of escape.
Yes, ma'am.
We have to look for those ways of escape and set up those areas in our life that we know we're going to fall prey to, set those guardrails up. How do you view, talking about kind of some of this, how do you view social media and phones in your generation? Let's talk about that. Let's go there.
I would say that some of the good in social media is that's how you're going to reach out to us. I feel like that's really big, is that's how, like, mostly every teenager has some type of social media, type of way to access social media, and they always looking for it.
So you're saying if you want to speak to your generation, we better pay attention to social media.
But going with that as well, a lot of kids with seeing a lot, they also have a lot of comparisons. They see all these people, like all these famous people with like highlights of their lives and like seeing all the good stuff going on, but really deep and down, like you never really know what that famous person's dealing with, because just because they show fame and money doesn't mean they show their heart. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things, is that our heart is where it's at, not the fame and money. And just because it shows like that looks cool and all that stuff doesn't mean it's true and what's good.
Yeah.
And also just a lot of exposure. I feel like that's also goes with the last question about lust, is like that's like what exposes to lust is social media as well. And you gotta make sure to guard your heart and guard your eyes to what you're scrolling on upon social media.
So what would you say to if a teenager's listening today, like how do they need to view social media? Do they need to get off of it? Do they need to stay on it? Do they need to put guardrails up around it, or maybe have somebody accountability partner? Or?
I would say that know who you follow.
Okay.
And I would say if it gets to a bad situation, delete it. I feel like you just need to, I guess, fast it, you would say, and just being able to just get rid of it for a little bit and then come back into it. I mean, slowly. I think social media is not a terrible thing, but I also don't think it's a great thing. But I mean, just to like know who you follow on social media and know what you're scrolling upon on social media. If you see something that's not good on social media, I would say get off of it. Like, not delete it, just get off of it right now. But just to know that, just know who you follow.
That's good. Caleb, parents may be listening today, and now you have a world-class mother. We've talked about this. For years, she was a solo mom.
Yes, ma'am.
And raised 3 amazing young men. You guys are all so well-rounded. Like, your brother's going in the Army. I mean, your other brother is a great kid. You are a godly young man. She's raised 3 amazing young men. But as a teenage young man, what would you encourage a parent or parents to be more aware of with their teenage sons? What do you think parents need to pay attention to?
I would say no matter what, you're going to like kids are going to fail. They're going to fall into things. They're going to not succeed in any things. And one way you should not, I feel like you shouldn't do as first off ripped is just start yelling and punishing them. I feel like you need to teach and then show unconditional love and authority in what you do. I feel like that we don't, with my mindset is like, I see adults and I'm like, if someone comes in straight up, just starts yelling and like trying to be mean and stuff like that, I don't want to show respect. I show respect, but I don't want to show respect.
Right.
And I just slowly go back. But to correct that relationship with your kid, I feel like you need to show authority, you need to show love, you need to show respect to them as well, because they're going through things that everyone else goes through. Everyone goes through, and the way to build it is not by just tearing them down, is by building them up and showing them and learning for them. I guess you could say, like, my mom tells me, she says, "I'm not your best friend, but I'll be there for you. Always someone to lean on. That's what I was.
That's good.
You always need someone to lean on. Yeah. And
a soft place to land.
Yes, ma'am. And I think that's something that's really big is like people don't want to lean on someone mean and yelling and all the time, and someone that can show authority but having unconditional love and showing respect.
That's something parents, we have to develop as parents, is when our kid comes to us and they've failed or they've made a mistake, is not reacting but responding.
Yes, ma'am.
And responding is a little bit more thoughtful in that I really want to rip your face off right now because you did this. But if I do that, you're not going to come to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? That's what you're saying.
Yes, ma'am.
They're going to stop coming to you if every time they come to you when they fail or make a mistake, it's yelling, screaming, why did you do that? Punishment, grounding, all the things. Not that there's not consequences for failure. But in that, one thing I like what you said is to teach them through their failure.
Yes,
I think as parents, we cannot discipline what we haven't discipled. If we haven't taught it and discipled it and poured into them, then we can't discipline them for something that we haven't discipled them through, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I like that you said that. So a soft place to land, a listening ear. You get enough yelling and correction from the world.
Yes, ma'am.
What I'm hearing you say is I want my mom to be somebody that I can go to, that when I do fail, she's going to guide me in the right direction.
Yes, ma'am.
She's going to tell me what I need to hear.
Yes, ma'am.
But she's also going to do it with love and grace. And I think your mom does that really well.
She does an amazing job on that. She teaches us and shows us so much. And like right now, she's teaching us like financial responsibility and the respect and the behind of the scenes of finance and stuff like that, and what you should put your money into, what you should see and stuff like that with your money. But she's like, I mean, I'm not good with money still. I still blow it on, but she's not coming in like, why'd you do that? You know what I mean? She's like still teaching us. She's still showing us because we'd never really like use money in a way like that and like have a thought of money like that. We'd always just like, oh, there's money, let's just go spend it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day is like when you get older, you're going to have to know how to spend your money well and know how to use your money in ways like that.
That's very good. And I like that you're picking up on it. I like that you're listening to her. What do you think teenage boys, particularly, or teenagers, need more of from their parents? Is there anything specific that you can think of that they may need more or less of? We've kind of talked about that. Less judgment, harsh judgment. More of, what about time spent? What about?
Yeah, I would say that always have a time to like have a sit down conversation, like get to know them. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's so many kids nowadays that don't even know what their parents are doing right now, or like they're just so, I guess, independent, you'd say. Like they're just running around doing whatever. But really, like, I feel like your parents one of the most important people in your lives, and people just take that for granted and leave that and just say, oh, I don't need my parents. But really, you do need your parents, because at the end of the day, that they're the ones that nurtured and showed you the way in a way like that. But at the end of the day, is like they're gonna love you and respect you no matter what. I feel like.
That's good. Let's talk about friends. What do you look for in a friend?
I look for in a friend is if they have a relationship with Jesus. I feel like, and if they don't, I try to figure out a way to how to create that relationship with Jesus with them. And that's just by talking to them, by getting them to invite them to church, show them a way of Jesus, like Jesus' love and stuff like that. And I would say I also look into a friend is if they're doing the right thing. I have going back to me reconnecting to Jesus. I have dropped so many friends because I knew that they weren't good for me at the moment. Good. And right now, I feel like God's building me to show the friends that I dropped to lead and show Jesus through me, like, you know, and give that guidance to them through me, I'd say.
What would you say to a parent who's struggling today because their teenager is not choosing wise friends?
I would say
that's a hard one.
It is.
Because, you know, there's lots of parents out there that they're like, why are you friends with this person? They're just getting you in trouble every time. Or, they lead you where you shouldn't go. What would you counsel them?
I'd say create boundaries with your kids. Is like show them. I remember I was hearing this one story is that they let them go do that, and then they came back and you're like, okay, that was wrong. You know what I mean? Like, create that boundaries. Like, if you want to do this, if you do this and you come back, you're not going to do it again. And just like show that, like, if you're going to hang out with your friends, you got to come to church. Like, you got to show them Jesus. You got to show them Jesus in a way. And so they all can, I feel like the best way to get closer to Jesus is have a community around that. Like, and building upon like small groups and all that good stuff is like being able to create upon that and being able to build together instead of one person builds and then the other person falls. And I feel like it should all come together and all the friends should come together, like how Pastor Chad and Pastor Tim went. Like they went together. They came in together, like following after Jesus and having that relationship with Jesus. But yeah, I would say that like having that building and having that like love for Jesus and being able to like, hey, if you're gonna hang out with this kid, you gotta come. They have to come to church with us. You gotta set that boundaries, and you're like, hey, you can come with us to church.
That's smart. As we close, share a few things on your heart that maybe God is teaching you recently.
I feel like one of the things I was saying earlier is authority. I need to show. God's teaching me and showing me like, hey, you gotta show authority in what you do because. Like I get the honor to have a bigger leadership and like but I have to show that leadership to them and I'm always let's have fun, let's all do this and then we can serve. But really it's let's serve first and then we can have fun. But really just in general is if you serve you're gonna have fun. I remember I know there's so many funny stories that we've had during serving but I have to show that authority and like, hey, we gotta get this stuff done. We gotta be able to build and like help each other out with this. And also another thing I'd say is that as I was also saying earlier is that it's okay to be different. I feel like that was such a hard thing for me to change is the being part of the crowd and now realizing is like that crowd was never the right things for me and not the right place to be at or the right thing to hang out with or all that like good stuff is like learning that no matter what I would say
it's okay to be different. It's okay to not fit in. It's okay because God accepts you and he loves you.
Yes, oh yeah, and like God's love is really the only love we really need in a way. And we just got to figure out that like no matter what that if this person doesn't like me, it's okay because God loves me. And I want to follow after God.
Be secure in that.
Be secure in that, yeah. And having that eternal life instead of worrying about this worldly view of I have to like get this person to like me so I can become popular or become cool with one person. But really just like no matter what, none of this in this world is going to matter until you get to Jesus, God. And being able to figure that out and learn that no matter what happens, that God loves you no matter, and there is a love that's going to never change by what you do. But yeah, I'll say that.
That's so good, Caleb. I can see that you really mean that. And that's really like something that God is working in you. Talk a little bit about students, coastal students. I know you love it. I know it's one of your favorite things. When do you guys meet? So if somebody's listening and they're a parent of a teenager and they go to Coastal and their kids don't come on Sunday nights, what time do you meet?
Doors open at 6. Service starts at 6:30.
Okay, now tell those parents the most compelling way you can why their kids should be at Coastal Students on Sunday nights.
Because it's something you never want to miss. It's always a good message. Good food. We get free food. I mean, I remember.
What's your favorite meal they serve on Sunday nights?
I would say pizza. I know that's such a basic thing.
So they get free food on Sunday nights. We have a different menu item every Sunday night.
Chicken sandwiches, burgers. I think last week we had spaghetti. I mean,
have y'all had cereal night in a while? Remember when y'all used to have cereal night?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you like cereal night?
I would say I loved it.
Okay.
That was pretty good.
Okay. What was your favorite?
I would say the Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Cinnamon Toast. What is your favorite food night?
Food night. Oh, I say the chicken sandwiches.
Oh, the chicken sandwiches.
Those are really good.
Okay.
As well.
So what else? As coastal students, why should they come?
Just the relationships you build, the relationships you gain from that. I mean, it's just a group of people that's always wanting to have fun, is always wanting to dive deeper into God's word, and always always want to be around with each other.
What if their kid says, "Well, I don't know anybody that goes there"? How accepting are you guys?
We are very accepting. We love everybody. We always want to bring everyone in. We always want everyone, and we want everyone to come to students, and always want to hang out, and always want to just dive deeper with them. And
so you have food before and after you guys hang out, and you have activities. What are some activities that y'all get to participate in?
We just started Gaga Ball, and
it got
real Sunday night. It was very competitive. There's been videos of just us just going at it at Gaga Ball.
Okay.
It was probably about at least 20 kids in just one little pit, and we were all just throwing the ball.
It's so intense. When I watched Gaga Ball one night, I was like, this is intense.
It's very intense. It gets very competitive. And then we got volleyball, and then we have basketball. I'm always on the courts trying to shoot around, and always hanging out with them.
Sometimes you guys set up pickleball.
We also do set up pickleball. And I'm not going to lie, I love pickleball.
Yeah.
I always play it, even throughout the week, just pickleball. And, I mean, it's something you never want to miss. It's like, what are you doing on a Sunday? You're not doing anything. Come to students. Come hang out.
You're not doing anything on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Doors open at 6. And this is a place where what you talked about earlier, building that friendship base of people that are going to encourage you, people that are going to lead you closer to Jesus, people that are going to help you, set those guardrails and boundaries up in your life. They're going to hold you accountable.
We got amazing leaders. I mean, they good. The whole next gen staff, they lead amazingly, and I love it. And even the leaders that are not on the staff is just amazing. And I remember we had to move the chairs around because it's just different, and you could see all the leaders just all working together, always having fun, and being able to serve God in so many different ways. I mean, it's not just a message up on the stage. It's a relationship that you gain with all the people that you're around. And I feel like that's something that's really big is community, and just having that community to hang out with. I mean, all my friends, I would say now, and that I'm building with goes to coastal students, and we're slowly and maturely gain that relationship with Jesus all together, and getting closer and closer every week with them.
So yeah. So if your teenager is isolating, I would say make it a non-negotiable.
I think that's one of the biggest things is making that a non-negotiable. I mean, coming to church in the mornings. I mean, if you don't want to go to big service, come hang out with kids. We all about having fun, and just having that love for church and stuff like that, and being able to guide and show them that love that you have as a parent for church. I feel that's really big, and they're able to build upon that for generations after that. I mean, I feel like a lot of parents don't non-negotiable, hey, you can't come to church. You have to come to church. I remember my mom's let's go to church. We always went to church together. And I didn't like big service at the time, but I always went to students. Not students, I meant kids. And I always liked having fun at kids. And now I'm loving just being at church, and being at big service, and being at students, and being at all services. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, you're all in. Yeah. You're all in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, closing fun question. I know you've been in the hot seat a minute, so we're going to have a closing fun question. What is one of your favorite things you think everyone should know about? This can be a book, a podcast, a TV show, a restaurant, a food, anything. What should be on my radar, Caleb, that I don't know about?
That Zaxby's is the best, and I would eat it every day if I could.
Zaxby's chicken.
I love Zaxby's chicken. The 3 nibblers.
So talk about this. You say Zaxby's. We talked about this before we started recording. You think Zaxby's is superior to Chick-fil-A?
It's on another ranking, another tier ranking.
You say up.
Above, A tier, and then Chick-fil-A is B tier. And
I've never, ever heard anyone talk about Zaxby's like this. What's your favorite menu item?
They're nibblers.
The nibblers.
They're so good.
Now, when you said that, it got in my spirit, man, and I was like, you know what? I need to go to Zaxby's today. Because those nibblers, the bun, Brandon, our producer, he was like, it's the bun.
It's so good. I mean, and the people that try to compare it with Foo, I'm like, it's nowhere close to Foo.
Nothing like Foosackly's.
It's nothing close.
You're saying superior to Foosackly's, superior to Chick-fil-A.
The best fast food place you could ever go
is Zaxby's.
Yes, ma'am.
So other than the nibblers, is there anything that should be on my radar on their menu? Because I feel like now I'm going to go to lunch there.
I would say the chicken sandwiches are good too.
Chicken sandwiches, the nibblers,
and then the.
I wish they would bring back the potato chips.
I know. I was like, they got something new. The fried shrimp, but I was like, it's nothing compared to the potato chips. I love the potato chips. I remember that was like instead of the fries, I was like, I want the potato chips.
Me too. Why did that? Was that something of COVID as well?
Probably. I don't know. I think that's when it's
so disappointing.
It was so good.
COVID took the chips. Well, is there anything else that you would like to say before we close today that's on your heart or anything?
No matter what you do, I mean, I'd say God loves you, and whatever you're going through, you're not alone. I feel like that's something that everyone thinks that they're going through something hard, that they're alone, but you're never alone. I mean, if you ever need anyone to count on, you can count on Jesus every day, and then you can count on. I feel like Coastal is always there and always ready to help out and always loving, and this relationship y'all have is really amazing, and I love that. But yeah, I'll say that.
Thank you, Caleb. Well, thank you for taking time to be here today on Coastal Conversations with me. Thank you for being a young man of integrity, of humility, and teachability.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Caleb, for just being open and honest with us. We see God using you in big, big ways, and we cannot wait to see all that he's going to do and use you as you mature in him and as you grow up.
Yes,
so thanks for being on the hot seat today with us.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for being here at Coastal Conversations. Thank you for listening to this week's Coastal Conversations podcast. All of today's references will be found in the show notes. Also, if you enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. We'll see you at Coastal this Sunday as we pick the conversation up from here.